Thank you so much for joining us. And I just want to start off, put simply, why are you running for re-election?
Because I'm a better person for the job than the other guy running. Let's just be clear about that from the beginning. I love this job. I love this town. Born and raised here. And I can think of no better way to spend my day besides teaching children and being the mayor. I can't think of any other way that I'd rather spend my day. So I'm excited to do it again. I'm more excited than I was in 2009. All the things that we wanted to do, all the things, the grand ambitions that I have are starting to get rolling. It takes that long. So you've got to go back and you've got to finish what you've started and see what else comes up, see what kind of problems, issues arise, how you can help people, how you can help business, how you can make the city safer for university students, continue to work on the downtown. There's just so much to do, so much exciting stuff going on, and I'm going to stay.
All right, so if re-elected, you talked about a bunch of different issues there, but if re-elected, what will be atop your agenda?
We still have to continue to push the crime rate down. Right now, we've sort of leveled off after 10 years of decline, 40% drop in the last 4 years. Got to continue to work to make our neighborhoods safe. Begin to drop the theft numbers at the north end of town, in the commercial center of town, up at the mall, the Walmart, up in that area. The downtown revitalization. I'm not going to go anywhere until somebody builds a new building down there. It's been since 1981, since I was 11 years old, that a brand new building was built downtown. And I'm going to stay here just as long as I have to see a crane down there, working with the university, working with the hospital, talking about a medical school now, the beginnings of that. I'd like to see that to fruition. All of those things, but definitely crime, the downtown, and then to continue. The biggest part of my heart is the Wycomico River, and I want us to be able to swim in it again like I did when I was a kid. So those are the three things. Those were the three things the first time around. All of that work continues.
You said you were the best man for the job.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about the biggest differences that you see between you and your opponent. Is that it?
I live here.
Okay. In the forums and debates, and even you just mentioned the revitalization of downtown.
Yeah.
Specifically, what are your plans for the area?
You know, my plan mixes a lot of new, exciting things, like taking away those surface parking lots, green infrastructure, mixed-use buildings where you have residences on top, businesses in the middle, commercial on the bottom. But all of those plans are things that have been sitting around on shelves in Salisbury since like 1980. Since the Woolworths was downtown, and as kids you could jump down these huge flights of steps. That building is now waiting to be revitalized. I think the thing to remember is this, is that we didn't, during the boom of the 2000s, of the past decade, we didn't take advantage of the waterfront property that we have. We didn't take advantage that there are 6,000 people at that hospital every day. We didn't take advantage that 5 blocks down the road is Salisbury University and all the amazing intellectual creativity, the athleticism, all the things that go along with being a Seagull. We didn't connect that to the downtown, where we're finally starting to do that. But the city's got to get out of the way. The city has to get out of the way and say, we need to make it cheaper for businesses to develop here. We need to make it cheaper for artists and residents to come down here. We need to make these parking lots where everyone could be parking in a parking garage, like you do when you go home to Baltimore. If you go down to the Inner Harbor, you go park in a parking garage. Our parking garage is essentially empty, and that's where people should be parking so that we can build buildings and see development on those parking lots that are sitting on waterfront property. I don't know how to look at you and say, I'm so fed up of saying the same thing over and over again. I have a 270-page downtown revitalization plan that I can't get the city council to work on, and with great people like Jake Day headed to a seat on the Salisbury City Council, I think I can get there. What I think it's important for you to remember, the people watching to remember, is that I don't have a vote. I come up with a grand plan, I give it to the city council. If it goes nowhere, there's nothing that I can do about that because I don't have a vote. But I still think there's so much going on downtown. If it's revitalized, it's rented. Third Friday has been a spectacular success. All the things that are going on, the arts and entertainment district, all the things that we do downtown, restaurants that are closing are opening again much more quickly than we were doing before. We see that the economy is starting to turn around. We are trying to, in that plan, to draw a line around the downtown and say that we want to make it an EDU-free zone. That's the biggest impediment that a business has to opening. An EDU is the cost that it is to hook up to the city's water and sewer services. We've dropped that EDU from almost $9,000 to just under $4,000, a huge drop, a 60% drop, going from the third highest on the Delmarva Peninsula in terms of the municipality to the third lowest. I think that's good for business, and I think that can kickstart things downtown. People have grand ideas. I want to make a coffee shop. I want to make a children's theater. But there's a process. And if they don't know what a request for proposal is, I can't help them. Request for proposal is what's out there now for those surface parking lots for the old fire station. So I'm going to let you get a question in now because you've been awfully quiet for the last couple minutes. So I know you must have a follow-up question.
Well, you actually hit on something that I wanted to ask you about, and that's the relationship between you and the city council. There have been proposals by you that haven't been passed.
Yeah.
How, if reelected, how would that change? How do you see that?
I'm going to give you just a quick lesson in history. Before, when mayors got along with city council people, the public and the media said that everything's being done behind closed doors and it's not being done in the light of day. So we changed all the sunshine rules in our state and in our city to make sure that conversations were happening out in the open. Well, now conversations are happening out in the open, and politicians have to make their points. And that means that the getting to yes on everything used to happen sort of in a place where you could have a discussion with somebody and you could work out who was going to give up what. Well, now politicians can't do that because supporters and detractors are sitting there watching these things happen. So I think it's a good gig for the people in the media to say that politicians never get along when you were saying it before that politicians were doing it in the dark. So I'm going to say that, you know, dissent is healthy. You know, that's what the framers of our country wanted, was for the minority opinion to be able to be heard. Right now on many of these issues, I'm in the minority opinion, and I'm really glad that I get to be heard. Our city has gotten mired down over the last couple decades in, just like in the United States Senate, the Senate always believes that there are 100 people there who could be president. Well, I think that that's sort of what's happened on our city council. Everybody believes that, you know, that they're the mayor. Whatever their reasonings are, elections are held so that the citizens can send a message to their elected officials that they want stuff done. And I really think that the election results in our city primary here about a week and a half ago are indicative that they expect the city council to get something done. So I just smile at you and say, I think the election numbers pretty much tell you what the citizens want us to do.
Okay, so now we're going to move over to crime.
Okay.
The Part 1 crime has dropped significantly since you've been in office. One, how much credit do you think you deserve for that?
If it had gone up by 40%, you'd be sitting there in your chair and you'd say, Mr. Mayor, the crime rate's gone up by 40%. What are you going to do about it? Well, it went down by 40%, so I'm going to sit here and I'm going to say I'm the mayor and I'm going to take some credit for it. I'm going to give much credit to Chief Barbara Duncan and Colonel Ivan Barkley and the members of the Salisbury Police Department and the men and women who go out there and bring this crime rate down every day. Our Safe Streets Coalition, the Governor's Office of Crime Control and Prevention. Salisbury's gone from a place where our per capita crime rates were higher than Baltimore City to a place where we're now traveling across the state teaching other municipalities how to bring these coalitions together, the state's attorney, the sheriff, the state police, parole and probation, juvenile services, all of those groups coming together to address the issue. But yeah, this is what I said was the most important thing when I ran for office. And I can remember that the week that I announced for office, the city said that crime had gone down 4%. It was down 4% that year. And I thought to myself, yeah, that's just, it's not enough. We're going to work real hard to make sure that theft numbers drop, especially commercial thefts, things that are happening in the business community. We're going to work real hard in our neighborhoods to try and bring people together so they can talk about their safety. But the important thing is that we're addressing it holistically. We're going from the most violent criminals coming off the street to making sure that people are coming out of Poplar Hill pre-release don't end up committing crimes again, hence reducing our rates of recidivism. We've taken a very, very conservative, tough on crime position with getting the most violent members off, and we have taken a very liberal position with believing that the recidivism rate can drop because we take care of people and make sure that people are getting skills when they get out of prison. I couldn't be any happier than that about those things. Those things are indicative of what I believe that we can do. If other people believe differently or my opponent believes differently, then they can come up with a different plan. But the plan that we've had has dropped at 40% in the last 4 years, and it's at the lowest levels in a decade. So yeah, I'm happy about it and I'm proud of us.
I want you to explain a little bit about the Safe Streets program. and how you've been able to work with people like Republican Sheriff Mike Lewis. And
Mike Lewis is a Republican. No, I'm just kidding. I do that. And State's Attorney Massarello, who is a Republican as well.
Right.
The great part about it is that city elections are nonpartisan. So even though you know, and most of our residents know that I'm a pretty staunch Democrat, when it came to dropping those rates of crime, remember that people don't care when something's happening on their street if a Democrat or a Republican comes. So I can tell you that my hero is Matt Massarello. I've never seen anyone who works that hard at making sure that his people are at the place where they can be so that we can get good cases against the bad guys. And I think that's kind of a simplistic way to say it, but it is indicative. It's exactly what he does all the time. Working with him is such a joy. The sheriff, Lieutenant Leatherberry, when he was at the state police, the governor's office of crime control and prevention, parole and probation, all of those people lining up together to talk neighborhood services and code compliance, taking care of blight, making sure that people don't think that some of our neighborhoods, it doesn't look like people take care of it, that's the place to do business. The thing that I think is most telling to me is that our residents know that our police are back walking a beat. They're out of their cars 593 times in the last year. Our police officers got out of the car and walked their beat, so they knew their residents. I was at a neighborhood services Christmas get-together on Church Street at the neighborhood services office, and a lady came up to me, and I had taught her son in 5th grade when he was at East Salisbury School, and I said, first thing I always ask people are, how are things? Is it quiet in the neighborhood? And she said, I don't have to worry about it because I got your guy's number in my phone. And that's community policing. That's when officers realize that the people that they serve are the people that they're trying to protect, are the people that they can help the most, are the people that can tell them the things that are going on in the neighborhoods. And that's been an incredible switchover for our police department. The Pemberton apartments that were such a bane to us when I came into office, the amount of working together that we have there. I'm there all the time working with residents. I'm there all the time working with their security system people so that we can make sure that communications exist. You could either spend your time telling you everything that's wrong, which is what I think my opponent's going to do, instead of every way that we're making things right. And I know that doesn't sell in politics today, in an ugly, slimy campaign. People say they don't like it, but people do react to it. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to throw punch for punch. There ain't no doubt about it. But I'm not going to let anybody tear down my city when I know how great we are.